Everybody said it was a no look into the end zone. The eyes were looking. You can't follow the face mask. What does he do with his head that you love to watch when he plays, Jason?
Well, I just think in general, he's the smartest quarterback in the NFL. And I was with him for a year. And I was with Drew Brees. I was with Alex Smith, which is very, very smart. When it comes to recollection and when it comes to remembering certain things and certain plays, I mean, he's an encyclopedia of football knowledge.
Welcome into Scoop City on a Wednesday. I'm James Palmer. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Please do both. That'd be great. Who cannot afford to slip up in Week 17? We'll talk about it as we go through the course of some monster games that start on Christmas and go through the course of the weekend. We'll also talk about a couple of quarterbacks. Can Drake Maye really win the MVP? Chase is going to break down what his chances are. How about Trevor Lawrence finding his way into that discussion and Brock Purdy playing out of his mind? We've seen the best maybe we've ever seen of Brock Purdy. Chase Daniel joins me from location undisclosed, or do you want to tell us where you're at?
Undisclosed location.
Okay. Yeah. Okay, good.
Yeah. Hotel room. Kids are downstairs eating breakfast, so we're good, man. We're good. Okay. Having a cup of coffee.
Love it.
Enjoying a Wednesday with you, James.
Yeah, love to. We are spending a Wednesday together. Love to spend this Wednesday morning with you, Chase. Listen, after Monday night, let's just look at this here in terms of the landscape of where we are with the playoff picture. The Jaguars, Chargers, and Bills are into the postseason now that the Colts lost that Monday nighter against the 49ers. So if the Texans and Packers win on Saturday, Chase, 13 of the 14 spots are essentially clinched. And Week 18, and we were talking about this before the show, could mostly just mean seeding, maybe some division titles, some shuffling there. But we have a pretty good idea almost of the teams that we're going to be seeing in the postseason.
Yeah, I mean, it was interesting to have this so late in the season. Usually there's a lot of teams that clinch and you have division winners that clinch early. But for whatever reason, this season, a lot of parity, a lot of juggernauts are not in the playoffs. I mean, we're going to talk about a few later in the show, but it's just, Week 18 was always where you could play the backups. And I got to play a couple times in Week 18 games. You know what I mean? And a lot of times, after that 17th game in Week 18, you're tired, you're playing for a seed. And since, the seeding went from where the 1 and 2 seed got buys now to the 1 seed, I mean, we have no clue who's going to be the 1 seed. And that's the most important thing. So coming down, I mean, this is what the NFL wanted, right? Like seeding and everyone in and going to be a lot of people watching.
Yeah, you're exactly right. Being in that Broncos locker room after the loss to the Jaguars, that's all everybody was talking to me about. We need to still get that 1 seed. We know how valuable it is when you're the only team that gets that bye. They still have a chance to control their own destiny, beat the Chiefs, beat the Chargers, the Broncos, get that 1 seed. But there's some other teams, Chase, that are hanging on by a thread. I want to know who you're kind of disappointed in if they don't make the postseason. And if you look at where things stand, the Lions and Vikings play on Christmas. Diana's going to be there. We'll be watching, clearly, obviously. The Ravens and Packers play on Saturday. And both teams need some help to get in. Also, remember, the Ravens could be eliminated on Saturday, and that means with DK Metcalf's suspension, Week 18 may not even matter, the second game of that suspension, which is something I wanted to point out. The Lions need the Packers to lose out, and the Ravens need to win out to get in. With the Lions and the Ravens specifically, if one of those teams doesn't get in, who would you be more disappointed in?
Oh man, that's tough. I mean, it's obviously, both of those teams, but if you look at it at a microscope and you looked at what the preseason was, there was everyone was talking about the Baltimore Ravens. And everyone was talking about Lamar Jackson and everyone was talking about Derrick Henry and Zay Flowers and Harbaugh and all these guys that have made this next step and have really played well for a lot of the season. Obviously, Lamar being out, some games really hurt them, but even when he was hurt and he was nicked up, he just wasn't the same. I mean, look, I really enjoy watching Lamar Jackson play football, specifically the last 2.5, 3 years, because everyone knew what he could do as a runner and everyone knew what he could do to extend plays. He became a new version these last 2.5, 3 years of himself. And it was, hey, we can win from the pocket. And there was a lot of teams that were making him win from the pocket. He had 2 MVP type worthy seasons. Obviously, Josh Allen winning it last year, but the way Lamar had been playing and ascending, even though it feels like he's been playing forever, it was like, hey, if you have a quarterback in this league, you can win. And when your quarterback gets nicked up and your O-line doesn't play well and you're not using Derrick Henry the right way, all of a sudden that defense isn't as vaunted as you would think. It just, I think because of the expectations that were put on Baltimore, that's probably the most disappointing. And then you look at the Lions side, I mean, it's definitely disappointing because all we've known really since Dan Campbell's been there, other than the first year and a half, is like, hey, they just win, they win, they win, they win. And it's really hard to point at a situation this year where they haven't been, and you try to dissect it, and Goff has actually played really well. I mean, did you see Tony Romo on the broadcast? He's like, hey, he's my MVP. I'm like, Tony, what are we doing? No, he's not.
We'll get to MVPs, MVP. Tony, if you're listening.
I'm like, what are we doing? But
he won't be mentioned.
Look, both of them are really disappointing. Both were juggernauts, and just people we're used to seeing in the playoffs, and there's a real chance that none of them could be in.
Yeah, that's the wild part. Right now, the Packers, I mentioned them real quickly. We can get to them if you'd like. They have a 97% chance of getting in. They have still a very good chance of getting in. I think that would be maybe, one of the more disappointing ones for me if you look at it from the aspect of I'd like to see Jordan Love in the postseason.
Yes.
Because I want to see if he can take that step. With the Ravens, they have a 7% chance of getting in. The way they would get in, so everybody knows, if the Ravens beat the Packers and then the Steelers, who will not, most likely, not have DK Metcalf, be upset by the Browns, that would make Week 18 winner take all for the division.
Ravens are out, dude. Ravens are out.
Okay, Chase is saying Ravens are out. I agree with you because they were my Super Bowl pick. And in a season where no Patrick Mahomes in the postseason, obviously, the Bills with Josh Allen have certain flaws. Joe Burrow is out. If Lamar played like almost every other season we've seen leading up into this one, you'd go, the Ravens have a wonderful path through the AFC, and it's just not the case. The point I wanted to make to you, because I agree with the Lions also, which the best offense in football, Dan Campbell takes over play calling. They get even better. They have a 3% chance of getting in. So banged up in the secondary has played a big part. Is it wild when I mention these three teams, Dan Campbell, Matt LaFleur, and John Harbaugh, that Dan Campbell might be the most safe at the end of this season? Isn't that a wild statement? Because these are great coaches.
Yeah, I mean, they are great coaches. And I just don't. Look, Harbaugh, he hasn't lived up. I mean, when I say he hasn't lived up, I mean, the standard there, when you have Lamar Jackson, you have a lot of teams that he's had. It's like, hey, Super Bowl or bust, Super Bowl or bust. I just don't know if you're going to find someone else better than him. And it's just sort of like the Tomlin situation. Cycle, right? Yep. It's like, all right, like who are we going to replace him with? And you look at some of the names, and respectfully speaking, like it's Harbaugh. It's Harbaugh. And I think that there's definitely got to be some things that change. But, you had mentioned about, Lamar Jackson. And I thought this is interesting. If you just look at really missing the playoffs, and this might be his best year, yada, yada, yada. If you look at the teams that are seated in the playoffs right now and just look at their quarterback, right? Broncos, Bo Nix, second-year guy, had one playoff loss to the Buffalo Bills. Patriots, Drake Maye, never been. Mm-hmm. Trevor Lawrence, I mean, I was on that team that they played in the Chargers for that playoff win that he came back from 35-3 or whatever it was.
And then almost beat the Chiefs in Kansas City. Remember that game?
Yes. Yeah, very that was close. Nuts. That was close. Mm-hmm. But then you look at Chargers. Justin Herbert never won a playoff game. You look at the Bills, obviously, like Josh Allen, he would be the supreme leader at this point. But then you look at the Steelers, and the Steelers are an interesting one because of Aaron Rodgers in the playoff experience. So that's going to be interesting to watch as we continue to watch the playoff picture. There's a lot of unexperienced guys. You look at like Josh Allen and Aaron Rodgers. Those are the two guys that are like, hey, we have the most playoff experience. That comes into play big time.
Yeah, that's a really good point. And if the Steelers defense can stop the run like they did against the Lions, we'll see if they can kind of put a couple pieces together and run the football successfully. Yeah. Maybe the Steelers team could be dangerous if they get in. You mentioned all these different quarterbacks. There's two of them that are a part of this AFC landscape with C.J. Stroud and Justin Herbert. And you have both, the Chargers and Texans. Whew, I'm stoked for this one for a couple of reasons. I don't think anybody wants to play Houston right now, but when you take a look at this game, what would you get out of it? First, if the Chargers come away with a win, and then if the Texans come away with a win, what would you learn about these two teams as they head towards the postseason?
I would say the Chargers are for real. And you're like, Chase, they have 10, 11. Like, how are you saying they're just now for real? Look, the schedule hasn't been great. They beat the Broncos OT. I get that. That was a good win for them. But the way the Texans have been playing, there's no hotter team in the NFL right now. And they're winning. Yes, CJ Stroud is playing well. Yes, the offensive consistency has been up and down this year, and it's starting to trend up. I do think CJ is seeing the field a lot better. I think he's played his way through that sophomore slump. And I feel like he's trending up. And here's the thing, though. The Chargers' offensive line is very, very poor. And you're going up against a defensive line who is the best in the game. I mean, it is, in my opinion, really not even close in terms of Broncos. I'll say close. But what the Texans have been able to do to get pressure on teams this year, they have been harassing quarterbacks. That is easily the worst part of the Chargers. So how do they handle that situation and that pass rush? Like, if you go max protect all game, I'm fine. Just Justin Herbert is banged up, right? His hand's broken. He's wearing a sleeve on his leg. All this stuff, you have to protect them. So it show me there for real. And then the other side is the Texans team. It's like, hey, go on the road, beat a really solid team, a really well coached team. I mean, this is a huge battle for playoff seedings, division winners, all this stuff. There's big time stakes in this game.
Yeah, this one is circled for me just because of the way both teams are playing. I think the Texans are getting a little more attention for the way they're playing as opposed to the Chargers, where nobody's paying attention to what Justin Herbert and company are doing. There's two aspects of this game, Chase, that stand out to me. One, obviously, you mentioned this pass rush going against a banged-up offensive line. I wanted to put this into perspective. Herbert's been sacked 49 times this season. The Texans have 41 sacks, and remember who Herbert goes against in Week 18. The Broncos with 63 sacks. That's how he finishes the season. So how does he finish the season health-wise?
Yes.
He's been hit so much. If they can protect him, I think these are two of the best fronts to go, hey, look at us, guys. We're into the postseason. Look what we did protecting our quarterback against two of the best defensive fronts in back-to-back games. Yeah. The other part that stands out to me is if CJ Stroud protects the football against this defense, I think that shows me something for Houston. You mentioned the way he's playing and seeing it. They're getting some chunk plays. He's been creating on third and long situations. When you talk to people down there, they think he's playing maybe the best he's played all season right now. But the Chargers are the only defense in football that has more interceptions than touchdown passes allowed. And so, like, when you look at the way they play against the pass, right? Yeah, they're the best defense against the pass with the way Jesse Minter has that group playing. And you mentioned seeing it, Chase, right? Jesse changes it so late, the picture for you. So that, to me,
it's good matchups.
I like those matchups. Both of those stand out to me. And then the other part is if Houston could become a red zone offense, which they are abysmal. I mean, second to last in the NFL behind the Saints. If they become a good red zone offense, the sky's the limit for Houston right now. I mean, they made a threat at Arrowhead last year with nobody on their roster into the fourth quarter against the Chiefs.
And you look at the red zone, it's one of those things where you sort of have to change the way you play mid-season, knowing what you have on defense. Like maybe not knowing what you have on defense at the start of the year, you're in an offensive meeting and you're saying, hey, the goal is to score 28 points. Like if you score 28 points in an NFL game, there's a really high, I think Sean Payton or Andy Reid did a study on it a while ago. So you score like 28 points a game, there's like a 79 or 80% chance you're winning a game. Like it's just pure analytic, like maybe more than that. And that's probably what every team's goal, everyone I've been on, is like, hey, let's score 4 touchdowns a game. We score 4 touchdowns, maybe make a mixed field goal in there. We're at 31, like we're winning the game. It's very difficult to do, first of all. That means you're scoring on 40% of your drives. And then now and I've been on a team like this, when you see what your defense is doing, you change that mindset. Hey, I need 3 touchdowns. Okay. I can win if we score 21 points. And sure enough, like the way the Texans defense are playing, the way they're getting these turnovers, and I just think offensively, you have to sort of change your identity midseason. They have done that. They've been poor in the red zone. I'd love for them to run the football more. Now, I'm not saying play keep away, but also like give your defense a chance to rest. Your defense is good. Like they're going to have stops. Now, eventually, it's just like with every good defense, you're going to have to score a lot of points. I don't think this game is. If I was a betting man, I would take the under without a doubt because both these defenses are really good. Write that down. Check it off.
Boom, boom. Chase, got it.
Under will hit. But yeah, it's just one of those things where you sort of got to change your identity knowing the way your team is playing.
That's a really good point. And that's all coaching, right? And how you grow your group. I think this, by the way, real quick before I get to the next one, this is like the deepest coach of the year group I've ever seen. You can make an argument for D'Amico Ryans. They started 0-3.
No clue who's winning.
Best, it's really, really wild. Okay. You have the Bears and the 49ers on Sunday night. I feel like this, when we talk about these quarterbacks, Jason, I love to do it with you. Man, it is sexy to watch Caleb Williams play quarterback. I'm just going to say it. He's all over the field, throwing on the run. When he rolls to the left and throw, I don't think there's anything more beautiful in the world than the way he throws a football rolling to his left. He's special for sure. And Brock Purdy is playing at about as high as a level as we've seen him in a very different manner. It might be boring to some people. So let's start with Brock. Because I want you to break it down for everybody about what he's doing so well, because I feel like it almost goes under the radar. Monday night, he was unbelievable.
Yeah. I mean, look, Monday night, he was unbelievable. And anytime you can throw 5 touchdowns in a game and you're up as one of the greater, they were showing stats all night on the ESPN broadcast. Like, it's first quarterback ever on Monday Night Football to throw 5 at San Francisco, and you look at the guys who played in San Francisco
in a game.
In college, 5. I never threw 6. Yeah, I never threw 6. 5 is good. A 4-piece is really good. Mm-hmm. When you get that 5th one, you're like, hey, it's like one of those nights, especially in the NFL. I mean, throwing 5 touchdowns. I just think what Brock's doing is he's starting to get more. So obviously he was hurt. He missed a ton of games, 8 or 9. I mean, Mac Jones filled in admirably while he was there, but Brock's starting to get back to form on what he was last year and the year before, meaning he's feeling the pocket better. He's feeling pressure better. He's moving around in the pocket better. I wouldn't say that skittish might be a tough word to say, but if you look at him back from injury, and this is what would it be for everyone, you try to say, hey, this is what the pass rush is going to be in practice. You can never do that. It's never the same until you play some games. And I think he's just feeling the pocket. He's seeing it really well. Obviously threw that interception, which was tipped last night. No one throws. I mean, I say no one. There's very few quarterbacks that throw over the middle of the field better than Brock Purdy does. And that's interesting being a small quarterback, because usually the first 3 guys, the center and guards, you're throwing over rather than through lanes. So he's a small guy, but he's able to get on top of the football. And it's impressive what he's doing. I mean, we've talked about it, but like Kyle Shanahan to me is, Troy Aikman said it. Troy Aikman said it on Monday. He's like, I don't know if I'm a GM, if I'm picking anyone else but Kyle Shanahan to run my franchise. And I see what he's saying by that, because to me, you look at all the injuries, and not only just to random people, all the star players that have been hurt for the 49ers. Like it was a lot early at the year. They're finally starting to get healthy. I think it's his best coaching job of the year. And we've said that a lot about him. But when you look at the hurt players and you look how Brock Purdy's playing, man, it's special.
It is. Before we get to Caleb, before we get to the Bears, I've always loved talking to receivers, Jason, around the NFL about just their opinion on a catchable ball. How do they describe it and what a guy throws in terms of a catchable ball? I feel like that's Purdy to a T. Yeah. How would you describe a catchable ball from a quarterback's perspective? What is your goal to make that receiver say that about the ball that you throw? Because I feel like that is Purdy in the way. It's a compliment.
It is sort of a backhanded compliment, because a catchable ball usually means you don't have a lot of oomph on it, so that means you don't have a lot of arm strength.
Pace.
I feel like it does. It gets there with pace. It's a tight spiral, and when I think of, and I've had some people say this, receivers, not to me, because I don't throw a catchable ball, I guess. But what I've heard, I think you do. Well, thank you very much. Yeah. What I've heard is like when the ball hits your hands, it just feels nice. Like it just is like, it doesn't hurt. It does, and it's always in the right position at the right time. There's so many different types of throws as a quarterback, and I think Brock Purdy does a really good job with it. There's a sliding scale. So there's a 1 ball, a 2 ball, and a 3 ball. A 1 ball is like, hey, short intermediate, it has to get there quickly. It's on a line, and it stays at like 7 feet off the ground the whole time. So Brock Purdy doesn't throw a lot of those. They don't throw a lot of timing routes outside. What he does, and what I love, is called layered throws, these 2 balls. So it's over top linebackers in front of safeties. We've talked about it a ton. That's no that's nothing new on what he does, but I think he does that better. These like 10 to 20 yard throws over top defenders or in between defenders where they can't jump up and touch it. And then there's a 3 ball, which we don't see a lot of, but these deep post balls where there's an arc on it, or these deep out routes where there's arc on it, or deep go balls where there's arc on it. And he, to me, has all 3 of those throws. So catchable ball is probably what he's talking about.
I love it. Yeah, I think that's outstanding. With Caleb, I just want to put this out there for everybody. He's going to need 300 yards this week and next week to be the Bears' first 4,000-yard passer. He sits at 3,400. We were trying to predict it at the beginning of the season, Chase. Remember that? We were saying, I think he's going to do it. But they've run the football so well. Maybe that's a part of why he is maybe coming up short of 4,000. With Caleb, and I asked Dinah this on Monday, and now I want the quarterback's perspective. Are we getting to a point to where late in the game, in just his second season, we have a lot of trust in Caleb Williams to make a play? I said to Diana, even more so than maybe people have trust in, say, Sam Darnold or somebody else where they feel like they still have to prove it with the way they've played late. Are you starting to gain a lot of trust that Caleb will make a play when the game's on the line?
I mean, yeah, he's made 6 of them. I mean, there's 6 come from behind wins. I mean, 6 wins when they're trailing with 2 minutes in fourth quarter or overtime. I mean, that to me is spectacular. You look at the early part of games, and it's like, for me, what I've noticed with Caleb is he's really good on the first drive, really first 2 drives, and that means they get through their first 15 scripted plays, because I'm sure they script just like everyone else. And then there's a little bit of a lull in the game for him, specifically decision making, trying to do maybe a little bit too much. But then when it gets to the fourth quarter, it's like he's playing his best football, and they're calling him Iceman. Mm-hmm. I mean, they like everyone and their mom's calling him Iceman. He's got ice in his veins, and it's true. It's true, and it's fun to watch, because as the Bears and these wins continue, you just really start to see the game plan that Ben Johnson has put together in all these games really come alive, because it's not like Ben Johnson is putting Caleb Williams in shotgun like he was at USC and saying, hey, do your thing, run around. There's some of that, but it's very little. These like 13 personnel, 1 back, 3 tight end. I mean, 13, the game-winning throw. Mm-hmm. It was 13 personnel. The Packers safeties, after this huge play fake, were at 7 yards, James. 7 yards. You ran a post behind, and you have to have a perfectly thrown football. It's exactly what it is, but Caleb is just playing on another level right now, man.
Yeah, and it helps, like I mentioned, that run game. I when I talk to people around the league, it's, man, the offensive line, obviously great. The scheme of it's great in the run game. The tight ends play a really big role in their run game. You mentioned that 13 personnel. They can show you a lot of different things, and the way they've run it and the way they've forced turnovers. They're a tough team. They limit your possessions, so I'm going to see what happens with San Francisco. All right, coming up, we talked a lot of quarterbacks. How about the ones at the tippy top of the list? Potentially the 2 that we believe could potentially win the MVP award. Is it Drake Maye? Is it Matthew Stafford? We'll find out next on Scoop City on a Wednesday. Welcome back to Scoop City on a Wednesday. James Palmer, Chase Daniel with you from the hotel room in an undisclosed location. I won't say where he's at, but he's still giving us dynamite intel on quarterbacks around the league. We believe, Chase, this might be a 2-horse race. It might be more than just 2 for the MVP. But the emergence of Drake Maye in year 2, the development of Josh McDaniels working with Drake Maye. When I talk to people up in New England, we have been just enamored with the way that Josh has brought him along, the way things have grown in terms of what he's put on his plate as the season's gone along. That's really impressed Mike Vrabel and company, and just the way Josh has handled the whole situation. But man, we got to give credit to Drake as well. Does he have a legitimate chance of winning the MVP, specifically maybe after we saw this bounce back game against a difficult loss to the Bills? They go back and beat the Ravens when they're down 11 with 10 to play.
Yeah. No, he doesn't have a legitimate chance to win the MVP. However, he is second place without a doubt. And I think that, first of all, Josh McDaniels should win the assistant coach of the year, just purely based on, you could have Vrabel win coach of the year. I think this is I think it's in the running. And I think McDaniels could win assistant coach of the year. And I think Drake Maye could finish second in MVP. And it just tells you those 3 guys, right? I think it's the first time since 2021 that the Patriots have made the playoffs. And those three guys are the reason. Now, look, what Braves has been able to do has been outstanding, but you still need a quarterback in this game to be super successful and to make deep playoff runs. And so to have what Drake Maye has put on tape in his second year, it's been special because when I watch him, he doesn't feel like a second year guy with very little experience. He feels very calm. He's never rushed. He's never in a hurry. He's always making correct decisions. And when I was breaking him down when he was coming out a couple years ago, the one thing that stood out to me is, I wouldn't say athleticism, but maybe the way he moved around enough at North Carolina. And you just don't know if that's going to carry over to the next level. And you watch him this year and his pocket movement, the way he's able to step around in the pocket, but keep his eyes down the field. Dude rarely gets sacked. Dude rarely makes mistakes. And for a second-year player, that just screams coaching to me. Yes, we have to give credit for Drake Maye because he's taking the coaching and he's doing it on the field. But it's just been outstanding to see his growth.
Yeah. I was going to ask you about the sacks part of things. Yeah. He's got 46 sacks.
Yeah.
That's fourth in the NFL. What part of that is that playing smart? Is that making sure we don't turn the ball over? I feel like if there's just one thing that we're looking to just, if we're playing devil's advocate to clean everything up, I would look at that. What have you seen? I know also this was like when we came to the year going, this isn't a murderer's row of an offensive line here.
No.
Either. I think Braves and company have done a good job trying to piece that together and get it to some semblance to protect him. What aspect with Drake stands out to you?
Well, I think he's on the Aaron Rodgers plan. I mean, look at Aaron Rodgers throughout his career. He is like one of the most sacked quarterbacks ever. And he'd rather take sacks than put the ball in harm's way. And honestly, I'm all for it. Like, and if that has to do with coaching. I mean, it could be coached like, hey, if stuff's not there, there's no reason. Like, obviously, you don't want to take sacks because it just puts yourself in your offense in a bad position. But I think the way he's taken the sacks, the way he's not really turning the football over a ton, and his decision making, it's like, hey, it's probably something being coached. Like, hey, we don't want to take sacks, but if you look at the way Aaron Rodgers played his entire career, it was like, hey, I'll take sacks way more than throw interceptions. That 2 interception year, I think he took 60 sacks. So the sack, you'd rather have the sack than the interception. A punt's not bad. And so I think he's on that case. I mean, obviously you want to get rid of the football a little bit more, but it's not a horrible thing. Okay,
yeah. And especially with they complete the ball downfield. There's been a lot of times where they've gone, in a negative fashion during a drive chase, and it doesn't bother them.
The first down.
Yes. Yeah, it doesn't bother them at all with the way that they can put the ball downfield. A lot of teams this year just drives are stalling. You look at Philly, they have a negative play. It's like the drive's toast.
Done.
And so that's an aspect of it as well, that they believe they can still keep these drives alive, even if he takes a sack for just even a couple of yards, steps up, and doesn't put the ball in harm's way, does lead the NFL in completion percentage. Here's our guy. I think we're together on this.
Yes.
Matthew Stafford is playing, when you ask around the league, and I do, on just a different level. And he is. And what I hear back, and what I'd obviously love from your perspective, is he dictates games. Like, he is making sure he's in control of the way the game goes. He sees everything, and then he just knows, you're not going to dictate the game defensively. I will control essentially what's happening out here with the way he sees it and the way he can move the football around and maybe move people as, however he wants. Let's start here. Everybody said it was a no look into the end zone. The eyes were looking. You can't follow the face mask. What does he do with his head that you love to watch when he plays, Jason?
Well, I just think in general, he's the smartest quarterback in the NFL. And I was with him for a year. And I was with Drew Brees. I was with Alex Smith, which very, very smart. When it comes to recollection and when it comes to remembering certain things and certain plays, I mean, he's an encyclopedia of football knowledge. I mean, he can remember stuff from 2011 in Detroit and tell you, well, we went here. And it's just like, it's really impressive to see and to just hear. And so what I'm seeing is like, and look, I heard Colin Cowherd say this, and I actually agree with, like, he's the best pure pocket passer left in football. And he not only has the arm, talent, strength, everything you want, but it's his smarts that win him football games, because he's going to, you can't like James, there's this, I don't want to get on a soapbox, but there was this huge conversation about Kirk Cousins. Did you see a Kirk Cousins clip about pure progression passing?
Yep. Watched it.
Versus coverage-based passing. Okay, for people that didn't watch it, it was pretty much Kirk Cousins for 4 minutes at the podium. He was asked, hey, pure progression passing is, if for everyone out there to know, it's like you're literally going 1 to 2 to 3 to 4, and you're just forget about the coverage, forget about everything. You're sweeping left to right, right to left. If one's open, throw it. Okay, cool. If one's not open, let's get to 2. And it's a little bit more intense than that versus coverage-based passing, which is, if I get cover 2, I'm going to the left side. If I'm getting cover 4, I'm going to the right side. If I get cover 3, okay, I got to play the middle of the field. And then if I have pressure, I got a hot route or sight or whatever it is. I would say in today's day and age, the pure progression passing is like 90% of these quarterbacks what they're given because they're just not as prepared coming out of college. Mm-hmm. And the reason being is defenses are too intense and too next level because they're disguising, and it's hard to say, well, how do you do this? So that's what Kirk Cousins was saying. I say all that because Matthew Stafford, sure, there's some pure progression passing. He is like old school cover 2, I'm going here, cover 4, I'm going here. And he's a computer. He's seen everything. I mean, everything. You can't really disguise with him. Like teams try and you're like, oh, this safety's 3 yards out of position. I'm throwing a post right over your head. And so that's what I see constantly with him is like, you have to play so straight up defensively where he can dink and dunk you. He can throw it over and they run the ball really well. So I say all that just saying like Matthew Stafford's the MVP.
Yeah, he is. I'm kind of picturing you got your call sheet over there and you're running your defense and you're like, oh, we got, and then he picks it. You're like, how did he see it? I thought we hid that. I thought we worked all week to disguise that. And no, he picked it apart. He saw it. I want to mention another quarterback. I don't know if he has a chance to win MVP, but coming off the field, I'm standing in the tunnel at Mile High and a Jaguars coach comes up to me and grabs my shoulder and just pulls me in and goes, our quarterback is bleeping dialed in, and just went back and then took off for the locker room. The way Trevor Lawrence is playing right now, 4 games, no picks, which has always been, interceptions have been something that have maybe some people scratched their heads about Trevor Lawrence and some of the, missing some of the layups or some of these throws that have been there over the course of his career. Right now, with the way he's playing and those 12 touchdowns over the last 4 games and the way that they are playing as an offense, it feels when I talk to people in Jacksonville, Chase, that this did take a minute. Liam has a lot of motion. He has a lot of movement. He has a lot of things in this offense. But they were like, it took time for Trevor to get all of it. Now he's getting tells. He's seeing things. He has Jacoby Myers, which has changed a lot for this offense as a veteran presence in the middle of the field. What have you seen from Trevor Lawrence? Because this is the one we were always waiting for. Yeah, who's going to unlock this guy?
Yeah, I mean, that's great. And when Liam got hired, I was like, hey, I would buy stock in Trevor Lawrence just purely based on his quarterback pedigree and what he's been able to do. And man, it wasn't always there. It took a while for Liam and Trevor to get on the same page, but the last 5-6 games offensively, it just looks like Trevor's playing in complete control. And the only other time in his career, first of all, he's playing the best ball of his career. It's not even close. Yes. And the second thing I was going to say is it looks like he's the most in control other than, remember there was an 8-game stretch in 2023.
Yeah. His first year with Doug.
Yes.
And I remember talking to Doug after the season when I hosted the 101 Awards in Kansas City, right? That the Hunt family puts on. And Doug won AFC Coach of the Year. And Doug told me that he has picked up what we want to do. We're a year ahead of where we wanted to be. Yeah. He finished the season unbelievable. It kind of stalled, but yeah.
Yeah. And so there was an 8-game stretch, really 9-game stretch in that season where I was like, generational prospect Trevor Lawrence is here. Mm-hmm. It is, and then just sort of down the hill, they limped into the playoffs, beat us at the Chargers, whatever.
You're not bitter.
This feels different for a couple reasons. One, the more experience you get, the better you're going to be as a quarterback. I don't care what anyone says. I mean, the experience is the number one factor. You just have to play games. You have to go through situations. You have to have the wherewithal to like withstand the negativity that comes with it, the consequences that come with it, the stress and the pressure. And luckily, I say luckily for them, they're in a small market. And so they maybe don't.
Oh, careful when you say small market.
Sean
Liam
Payton
may get you.
Yeah,
Liam may get you, Chase Daniel.
I'm sure he watches Scoop City, and I'm sure he follows along, and he's going to, if I'm bulletin board material for you, so be it.
Actually, he wants you to say it. He wants to use it. Yeah.
But like, so for the growth and the maturation process of Trevor, because they're in a small market, you maybe don't see it as much on national television as you would Jalen Hurts. They talk about Jalen Hurts or Dak Prescott every day. And so I think that's sort of been good for Trevor not to be in that spotlight. I mean, there was a quote the other day. He's like, I always wanted to be rich. I didn't want to be famous. I don't know if you saw that from Trevor Lawrence, but I think it's true. And he hasn't had to deal with that now. Now you're going to get the microscope. Now you're going to get the pressure. Now everyone's talking about you. And it's going to be fun to watch his process go through. And I just think he's playing really good football right now.
Yeah, he really is. They're not even doing it with the guy they traded up for into the number 2 spot, as I saw Travis Hunter on crutches there at the stadium on Sunday, still coming back from that knee injury. That's another weapon. We'll see how he's used in year 2. For Trevor Lawrence, but I've loved the way he's used his legs also, Chase. Like he's been very effective there. He is when you stand next to him on the field, you're like, this is a big dude.
He looks the part.
Like, he really does. And I don't know if there's a more liked guy in that locker room. That's the other thing I got from people in the front office. It's like they are so excited for his success because of how good of a guy he is. He was FaceTiming with the family, like his daughter like, sitting in there, like FaceTiming after the win. After the biggest win, that they've had all year, he's sitting there chatting with the family. It was a huge win over the Broncos. Okay, these are all guys that everybody knows. We're talking about MVP candidates. We're talking about quarterbacks. How about some of these guys that make this league go and their teams win that nobody's really talking about? Chase and I are going to tell you a couple under the radar, maybe some stocking stuffers here. The present that you get maybe in the stocking, Chase, that nobody really talks about, but it's maybe the best one you got all year. I love them. We're going to talk about those next on Scoop City on a Wednesday. All right, closing things out on a Wednesday on Scoop City. James Palmer, Chase Daniel with you. These are our stocking stuffers. I hinted at it. I don't know if Chase has a little bit of a Christmas tree behind him, just a little guy
right there
in the hotel room. But still,
right there?
Do you have stockings in there?
We do. Boom.
Oh, all right.
Boom.
I know these players won't fit in there, but if you could just reach in and grab a name, pull it out, somebody that maybe everybody doesn't know that you'd like to say, hey, we need to give this guy a little bit of love here this holiday season. Yeah. Do you have anybody for me?
Yeah. I was a backup quarterback for most of my career, 14 years. And the backup quarterback does so much more than what people think. And for me, it's Case Keenum. And he is the backup quarterback for the Chicago Bears. We talked about Caleb Williams earlier in the show and just his growth. I don't know if you remember way back in March when free agency was there, Ben Johnson gets a job. One of his first signings was Case Keenum. And that was by no mistake because Case spent last 2 years in CJ Stroud's ear. In Houston, look how CJ Stroud's playing. And that's sort of the part of Case's career right now where he is that mentor. He is that second coach on the field. And so often than not, the starting quarterback spends more time with the backup quarterback than the quarterback coach, than the head coach, than anyone else on the team, than his wife in most seasons. So the backup quarterback, I mean, it is true. I mean, you're up there and you are grinding in the relationship they have. More often than not, you see Caleb come off and Case Keenum's right there in his ear. And I was part of that. I lived that. It's a cool situation. You obviously got to be ready to play when your number's called. But I just think that having Case has been that sort of comforting force a little bit of getting Caleb Williams to play some of his best football.
Yeah, I love it. He's sitting there in that third spot, still in uniform, emergency quarterback, got that thing in his ear. He's ready to roll. And you saw Caleb throws that touchdown pass to DJ Moore. Case is one of the first guys out there. Right? They probably went over that a million times. If we get this, we're going here, and he executed it perfectly. And I think there's a lot of joy in that, right? Because you are so much part of the process.
Yes.
And you're probably seeing on the sideline. Does this happen, Chase? Just on the sideline, yep, we got the look. Hit it.
Dude, thousands of times. Yeah. And very rarely does it work out like that where you practice it perfect in practice and you're like, oh my God, it's low quarters. The safety's down. It's just a touchdown if he throws it and then sure enough, it's like, it's cool.
Oh, that's awesome. Well, a quarterback's best friend usually is his blindside protector, his left tackle. I'm going to bring up Garrett Bowles of the Denver Broncos, who nobody talks about. It is one of the best left tackles in football over the last maybe 2 years. And he's had a rough start to his career after a first-round pick. Unbelievable athlete out of Utah, lacrosse player, but just such a great athlete at the left tackle spot. I remember talking to Mark Schlereth at training camp repeatedly about him, just going like, you don't understand how this guy moves. If he can ever figure it out, there were penalty issues, right, early in his career, all this different stuff. And then just nobody paid attention. And he's just an absolute steal for the Denver Broncos, protecting the blind side of Bo Nix, who's taken I could look it up, 14 sacks or something like that this year. It's been unbelievable the way they've done it. And they're not paying him like a monster left tackle. And some of these guys are high profile at that spot, right, Chase?
Yeah.
But he is not one of them. I have one more. Do you have another one?
I don't know. Go ahead though.
I got one more that I just want to say. Yeah,
let's do it.
The corner market has skyrocketed, right?
Yes.
We had Pat Surtain get that big deal, and now he's like a bargain. The reigning defensive player of the year after J.C. Horn and Stingley, and Sauce Gardner gets a big deal, and all of these guys that are playing out of their minds. In Philadelphia, Quinyon Mitchell is playing like arguably the best corner in football, and I don't think anybody brings his name up. Do you ever hear Quinyon Mitchell brought up? I mean, we just don't. And it's mainly because I don't think he has a pick this year, but also nobody completes a ball if it's thrown to him. Or they just don't throw to him. And so this is a really great defense in Philadelphia. But if you ask people in that building, he is quiet, he goes about his business, but he also carries himself like a corner carries himself, with that little bit of swagger to him. Ask anybody in there, they'll say, hey, he's always texting coaches, calling them in the middle of the night, going like, hey, what else could I be looking at right now, film-wise?
That's awesome.
Help me work a little harder here, as he's always trying to grind. And he is, and I just wanted to put this out there, he is right now, he's forced, heading into week 16, the lowest catch rate in the NFL, the second highest percentage of tight window throws forced, and has the lowest average of separation, only behind Patrick Surtain. So he's playing like the best corner in football. Yeah, and nobody's paying attention. And he's got a great nickname. His rookie year, it might be inappropriate, but I got to say it. Quinyanamo Bay was his nickname in his rookie season. Yeah, lock him down. Nobody's really playing well against Quinyon Mitchell. Those are my under-the-radar guys. Chase had a great one in Case Keenum. He's kind of had this really cool career. How long do you think he does this, by the way, real quick?
Yeah, I don't know. He, dude, I told him, and we're buddies, and I said, hey, do it as long as you can until the wheels fall off, because this is just such a special thing and special time, and I think he's really enjoying it right now.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's awesome. I remember talking to him in Houston, and he talks to you like a coach, right? He just sees everything about CJ, 1000%. Caleb. It's been awesome. Chase, enjoy the holiday. Do you have any plans? Family plans?
We're gonna enjoy some time with just the family. Gonna try to unplug a little bit here. I got some games I got to call coming up for college. But it's we're gonna watch some football. We're gonna just spend some time with my 3 little kids, and it'll be fun, man.
Love it. Awesome. Everybody out there listening, watching, whatever you celebrate, enjoy it with some family. Have a great holiday season. Chase, I'll see you next week, man.
All right, buddy.
Thanks for watching Scoop City. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and feel free to leave a comment. New episodes of Scoop City drop every Monday, Wednesday, and Thursday.